Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Gather around. This is Red Pill Tamales. The show is still happening. A lot of y'all think we fell off, but guess what? RPT is still a major factor. And today, man, we have a very special guest, Anthony Gabasa. With hey, a lot of y'all know him as Informed with Anthony.
Yes, sir.
What's up, brother?
How's it going, Chingo? How are you, bro?
Great, man. Good to talk to you again. There's so much happening in the world. Like right when we thought, like, all right, it can't get no crazier than this. It's like the last time we spoke, it was something else, some other madness.
Yeah, it
And,
was
and
pre
now,
it was
uh-huh.
pre World War III talks.
Yeah, I mean,
And now we're about to head into it, bro.
I know. See, like, I try to, because everybody tried to call me a sellout, right? Because I was
Mhm.
transparent and honest and trying to let people know I was voting for no new wars, cheap gas, mean tweets. And we were trying to give people a heads up, man, not to fall for the hoaxes and the okey dokes. And I
Yes, sir.
wonder, all the haters, where are they? All the people that were like lost their mind in 2020, all the people that thought they were voting for the non-racist, the much younger old guy, the less white guy, the less politician. I don't know what the hell these people were thinking, but like, can you just tell people where we are now, man? Like, what is the state? Like, is America turning into a third world country? What's up with the dollar? I mean, are we really on the brink of world war?
Yeah, man. I mean, you had the prime minister of China or the president. I don't know, the dictator of China. I guess that's what we're calling him, right?
Yeah, chairman.
Yeah, the Xi out there, and this guy's out here in Russia talking about. Believe it or not, man, they were actually trying to get some kind of ceasefire between President Putin out of Russia with Ukraine's Zelensky, and the U.S. said no. The U.S. on Friday, you had Department of National Security Advisor, I believe, John Kirby, saying like we will not accept any kind of ceasefire, especially if it's China kind of setting the conditions. We want to be the ones, but of course, that's just talk to. Hey, this is profitable for us. We're sending all this money over there. We might be laundering some back through to us through some crypto.
10% for the big guy.
Yeah, 10% for the big guy, right? No, yeah, man. But of course, the people that voted this in, they now have a second job or a third job because they thought that the economy was going to be great, but unfortunately, the economy has only got worse. And now we're on the brink of a banking collapse. Now you got the Federal Reserve having to come in and swoop in and protect all these banks, because if they don't protect the banks, basically you're just going to have a banking collapse. And of course, we can't have that under this administration, because then it looks bad on him, and then 2024 looks iffy, right? People are going to start finally coming to the realization that, like, maybe we did choose the least option, the worst option. And so, look, man, it's something that I literally told my wife. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. Unfortunately, Chingo, you probably know this better than most. The knife's got to be at everybody's neck before they finally come to realize it's got to hurt everybody. Every single American has to be hurting, has to be down in order to finally see, you know what, man, I think we made a mistake. I think that I'm going to make a better choice next time around. I'm going to put my pre-programmed mind, that little chip that the corporate media puts inside of everyone's minds of, Orange man racist or Republicans racist. And I'm going to make the decision that means, like you opened up in the intro, no new wars. It means better economy. It means America first. It means better policies for all Americans. It means no money to Ukraine in the billions of dollars, right? I mean, I think this is, what, in some way, it sucks for everybody, but it's almost like this had to happen. People had to see for themselves just how bad it really could get. People thought it was bad before, Chingo, and look how bad and even worse it's gotten now. So I think that they have to see that for themselves. People have been feeling it when they go fill up on the gas tanks. People are feeling it when they're reading the reports of new $1 billion to Ukraine every single day or whatever. And they're like, well, wait a minute. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Like, I'm having to pick up a second job. My wife's having to work 2 jobs or whatever it is, because I mean, it's crazy, man.
I
It's
mean,
crazy for sure.
I feel like La Raza, like Mexican Americans that are so like brainwashed by the mainstream, like we have this burden of our identity. We have this burden of our ethnicity. And we're like programmed, and I'm generalizing, right? Because not everybody's like this, but like a lot of Mexican Americans, a lot of Latinos are programmed to be hypersensitive about identity and ethnicity and race, and nos encandilaron with that la mamada de, hey, he called us rapists and criminals and this and that. He said all Mexicans are rapists and criminals, and I fell for it too. I wasn't really a peeping game at the time, and I'm just curious, like, as bad as things are, I still don't see anybody apologize. I didn't see anybody like say, hey, wait a minute, I think we were bamboozled.
Mhm.
We had 4 years of peace. We had 4 years of economic prosperity. Sure, the guy ain't perfect, and he tweets mean things, but I mean, maybe people can and not everybody on the in the Republican Party is perfect either, because there's the unit party, there's the purple party. They're working
Yeah.
together behind the scenes. You got the neoliberals and the neocons and all the spending and the war. And like you just said at the top of the show, you said how Xi Jinping out there in China, he's basically kicking it with Putin, saying, "Hey, man, we want peace." Like
Mhm.
they're working out deals, saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
if we go take Taiwan and control all the microchips, y'all gonna have our back with them nukes." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And all this stuff is so important, but the American public has their plate full, like you said, with economic issues like taxes, crime. They're brainwashing the kids in the school. You got the culture war happening. You got Disney putting all kind of trisexual unicorns in every gender fluid thing. International Women's Day is a bunch of vatos. It's just dudes in dresses winning. And we're again, big tech, I apologize. So I'm sorry, big tech, that I'm saying all these. They're AI right now. YouTube's AI right now. I was like, he's saying all the buzzwords. But I would love to see more Latinos wake up, and you're doing amazing work.
Thank you, brother.
I tried looking you up on Twitter, and I kept typing in "informed with Anthony," and I realized I had to put like your legal name.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So because Info with Anthony is too long for like the at handle on Twitter, I
Okay.
just left it at Anthony Cabasa. Now, if you like change your profile picture, if you change your name, you get like de-verified for like a couple weeks. So I just don't mess with it. I just leave it under my name. But yeah, man, look, that at the end of the day, I think that that's always just been my mission. I am conservative. I do vote more Republican than I do Democrat. That's just because of my instilled values that have been handed down to me from generation to generation. First and foremost, godly values.
Mm-hmm.
My belief in Jesus Christ, as my Lord and Savior. And so with that, I just can't vote for exactly what you were just talking about. I can't come to myself and be like, okay, you know what? Maybe men are women. You know what I mean? Like maybe I'm the one that's wrong. Like maybe God was wrong. You know what I mean? Like maybe these
Yeah,
people
yeah.
that don't believe in God are actually right. And so yeah, here we are, man. And I think that you probably find that there are a lot more Hispanics, especially a lot more like first generation Hispanics and even like immigrant Hispanics that they're not down with that, man. Like you kind of have to look down to like the fifth or sixth generation Hispanics that have been here for so long,
Mm-hmm.
that they already come from like that indoctrination through via the public schools of,
Yeah.
of generation after generation of teaching them these cultural Marxist values and instill in them that, like, yes, men can be women, and yes, men can get pregnant and all this stuff. But for the most part, I would say a lot of Hispanics just don't buy it, man. It's just they're not the connection that we need to draw is piecing it together. How liberal policies, at least today, well, I can't even really call them liberal policies because liberalism is at least moderate, is at least coming from a position of reason. But now you have like this far left, and there's these Marxist values that every Democrat is just taking up because they're like, look, at this point we just have to be this crazy, because if not, we're going to lose all the support, we're going to lose all our funding, we're going to lose all these voters, and this is what they worry about. I mean, bro, if you would have told me 10 years ago even that Democrats could have won just on the abortion issue alone, like they did in the midterms, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have been like, there's no way that an entire generation and women especially, bro. Like, imagine the mind tricks, the Jedi mind tricks having to be played on especially young women who probably haven't even thought about having children yet, 16, 17, 18, and they can't wait to vote to like abort their children. You know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't even just sound right, man. But somehow they've been able to convince them that this is the way. Like, oh, this is empowerment, this is freedom. And then, oh, you see now they're in sports and they're like, you got to let men, play in your sports. And it's like, bro, it's like the erasure of women, bro. Like you're taking everything that a woman is, the powers that God has granted them to be able to create life. I mean, bro, to me, I am in huge reverence to women. You know what I mean? You got your wife, I got my
Mhm.
wife, and I am just astonished, bro, that they are able to create life, the 9 months, the giving birth. And then looking at all that myself as a man, I'm like, damn, that sounds crazy. And then a year later, they're like, yo, let's do it again. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
yo, take it easy, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So to me, it's just like, bro, like it's amazing what a woman is can do, and the support, especially to us married men, and giving us a family and giving us this kingdom, and for them to come in and just kind of try to erase them, bro, try to replace them and be like, hey, the woman of the year is actually a man. Like it's like, damn, bro, you know what I mean?
And
Like
then
that's crazy.
the Babylon Bee got in huge trouble and
Yeah.
deplatformed because they gave their what did they do? Man of the Year award to Rachel Levine, or what, how you say her name? Or his
Yeah, Rachel Levine. So yeah, I think that's at the
Attorney General Health or Surgeon General or something like that.
health surgeon general, something like that. Yeah, and trans man. And what's crazy is I was just reading up that this guy actually had a family and kids and
Mhm.
everything before, and so man, that's kind of nuts to see that happen. But yeah, and then you had Kamala Harris, everyone's favorite VP. That's your girl, right, Chingo? That's your girl. That's
Come on, dog. I can't even say her nickname, what
bro.
we
Yeah,
call her on
like
there.
Kamala, bro. Yeah. So she's out here sending like VP letters to Dylan Mulvaney, that guy that's like day 100 of being a woman or whatever, saying like that she is like empowering, that she resembles what's good in the country and this is that. I'm just like, yo, man, like,
And then Drew Barrymore kneels and like, "Oh my god, we're having a sisterly moment and 365 days of girlhood, and you're such a hero."
yeah. I mean, you've been in Hollywood, bro. Do you feel like that was more like a political stunt than anything? I mean, like, when you have a show, especially in Hollywood, like if you're like Ellen DeGeneres, all these
Mhm,
people, I feel like your producers are like, you have to invite these people on. We might not like it, whatever,
mhm.
but it's what everyone's talking about, right? So
It's
I
gonna
feel like,
trigger the conservatives, yeah.
right, exactly. And dude, but it works though, right? Because you have like people that like I never tune into like the Oscars or the Academy Awards or whatever. So I feel like the Academy Awards knows like, oh, nobody's tuning into
Yeah.
us anymore. Like
You're
every
like,
year
"We
we're
gotta
going
put
down.
Lil Nas
So
X gotta twerk on the devil."
exactly, bro. Exactly. So they have to do these things because they know, okay, for the people watching, they're going to watch and they're going to stay tuned in. But for the people not watching, we're going to create this blasphemous, crazy, satanic, ritualistic thing so that they can, I mean, bro, to this day, I haven't stopped watching, what is it? Sam Harris, I think.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Sam Satan Smith.
Yeah. Bro, and I'm
Oh,
just
wait,
like,
you talking about Sam Harris, the intellectual lib?
no,
The
I don't. No, no, no. I think
the
I think
singer,
I think
Sam
it might be
Smith.
Sam Smith. Yeah, the
Yeah.
guy that like I guess now he's like non-gender conforming or whatever.
Yeah.
And
De repente, all of
uh,
a sudden, yeah.
yeah, and bro, I'm telling you, man, it's got to be like they have to. There's no way that these people are serious. Like I don't know, Chingo. You tell me.
Yeah,
You were
I'm gonna call cap on that one,
right.
Sam Smith.
Yeah,
But no,
exactly.
I think you make a very good point. I think you're right, and I overlooked that. The power of clickbait, ratings, getting a buzz, and at the end of the day, it is a business. And you made a great point saying they know their ratings are down. I mean, these people are elitist. They look over rural folks. They look over flyover states. That's what they call us. They
Mhm.
consider us to be ass backwards, Bible thumping, country bumpkins. That
Mhm.
shit rhyme right there. That might be a rap. Um, but hey, man, tell everybody where they could get your merch because dude, I love the caps that say "Trust God" and
Yes, sir. So I'm actually wearing the shirt right now. This is a my brother in Christ. I wear these for like Bible studies, like, hey, my brother in Christ. But yeah, if you go to informwithanthony.com, You can get a little bit about me, who I am, the work that I've done as an activist, as an informer, as just trying to wake up La Raza, trying to wake up Latinos, Hispanics, and stuff. And then you can also go to informwithanthony.com/shop, or just informwithanthony.com, and you can see all the merch. I have a couple different lines. The Trust God line is obviously the best selling. I do have the
I love
caps.
it.
I don't think I have it in here, but
Those
I
are
should have.
those are awesome. My wife made some shirts that say better get right with God. And she just
Yeah.
made, yeah, she just made a handful. And but we're definitely in those times, man. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely a revival happening. There's a lot of people just seeing, not to get all like woo-woo, like spiritual war. I mean, but a lot of times, like I was even watching a Cat Williams special called World War III, and he was saying it's the lie versus the truth. It's the truth versus the lie. You know, like he was framing it in a way where he was just saying, like, there's a lot of BS, there's a lot of lies, there's a lot of trickery, and he's like, people getting paid off of it. Um, and in terms of waking up La Raza, like a lot of the stuff you just finished saying about like what the radical left is doing and what the Democrat Party is about, whether it's abortions and all the weird gender stuff. When my wife and I try to tell our babysitter, who's from Mexico, right?
Mm-hmm.
She don't really understand politics too much, but she like thinks Joe Biden is awesome. Like, oh, él ayuda a los inmigrantes, like, because they're getting all these kickbacks, they're getting more hookups, more of this, more money for this, more food for that, more swipe that, and
Of
bonus
course.
this. And the schools are shut down now. The HISD coming to drop off cartons of milk and snacks, and they're, dude, she brings us food, right? She brings
Mm-hmm.
us food. She's just like, hey man, we got so much milk, eggs, juice, cereals, and she'll be like, my grandkids don't even like this brand. Like they don't even like these kind of yogurts. She's like, Yo Play, we don't mess with Yo Play. And we're over here like, you know, actually having to work hard and pay for all our stuff. But when we try to tell her, when we would try to tell her, like, you know, no, señora, mira, ellos quieren puede haber abortos en las prepas, en las escuelas, quieren poner un Planned Parenthood, quieren abortar hasta los 9 meses, quieren abortar hasta si nace el bebé y ya no lo quieres. And she's like, ¿cómo? ¿Quién? No. And we're telling her, like, ellos creen que una mujer puede ser un hombre puede ser, y ay, ¿cómo? Y les quieren cambiar a los niños and all this stuff. And she's just like, what? You mean the nice people that give us stimmies and always doing for the
Yeah.
migrants? And we're like, yeah.
Yeah, bro, you'd be very surprised, man. How I've interviewed so many people, especially when Roe v. Wade was overturned. There was protests here in Los Angeles, and I'll remember, bro, that I went up to the street vendors that were trying to sell merch because, hey, bro, at the end of the day, they're just trying to make a living, you know. So
Mhm,
they were out there, and I was, they were. I was asking them like, hey, what do you guys think about this protest? And they're like, well, there's always a protest out here. Like, I don't even really know what this protest is about.
mhm.
And I was just like, well, they're fighting for abortion up to 9 months. And I'm like, what do you think about that? And they're like, oh no, that's awful. Like that's ungodly. That ain't right, man. And it was funny because I was talking to a woman and she had her daughter there, and then she had her husband. So both of them work like selling, like merch, or they were selling like hot dogs. They were street vendors.
Mhm.
So the husband does one thing, the wife does one thing. And they told me, like, bro, we both come out here, we both work. Like, how can you sit there? Like, because I was like, well, what do you think about like women that say that, it's their choice and this and that? And I mean, bro, when I tell you this woman was lecturing me, bro, she was just giving me, because I think she thought that I was advocating for it. So I
Oh,
kind of put her like in a little bit of defense. I was just asking her, like, what do you think? But she
mhm.
was just like, I can't believe you're saying that. Like, aren't you a Christian? Aren't you Latino? Like, wasn't this handed down to you? And like I had a choice, but that choice was when me and my husband decided to have a kid, or do the things that could lead, to having a kid. That was my choice back then. Like, once you get pregnant, you have no choice. That's a gift from God. And I was just like, bro, this hot dog lady's out
She
here
got
like
triggered.
preaching, bro. Yeah. I mean, dude, she was out here, and then she was like, look, me and my husband both work. We come out here every single weekend, especially when there's protests. We take advantage of just thousands of people, but we bring our kids to work. Like that's how we roll. Like we're not gonna oh my daughter's an inconvenience or my son. No, you bring them with you, you have them help. Like what? Like
Hmm.
no, there's no like, oh, I need to abort my daughter to have a better
Hmm.
lifestyle or whatever, you know. And so, but you're absolutely right, man. When you actually start talking, especially to like the older generation, Latinos and Hispanics, like yes, they do have like this vision that Democrats are good because you nailed it, bro. They're allowing millions of immigrants to just come in. They're the ones that supposedly care about us. They're the ones that supposedly, are going to give dreamers finally like amnesty, yet to be done. By the way, it
Yeah.
was promised. They're the ones that are going to give college students, hey, you don't have to no longer pay off your debt. This is not, again, yet to be done. But it's said by them, so they just believe it. You know what I mean? And sometimes because it doesn't affect the person itself, like, there could be a Latina out there. They're like, hey, it's great that they're doing this for college students. But because that Latina is not a college student, she doesn't know if it ever came true or not. But because it was said and repeated over and over and over again, that's just they just absorb it, and they're like, wow, this is what they did for them. But they don't know that it was stopped by the Supreme Court because it's illegal. They don't know that they were sued. They don't know like any of this stuff. And so well, even just one more story to share real quick. When I was covering the Roe v. Wade, I remember that there was a protest, and the protest was in a corner out here in Santa Monica, and the protest was actually like right outside of a subway station. So as people were leaving the subway coming up, they ran into the protests. And so there was this older lady, bro. She was masked up, older lady. I don't know if she was Mexican or, you could probably tell she was maybe like late in her 70s, and she's, still taking the subway, going to work, all this cool stuff. So she came up and she saw me, and I look Latino. So she came up to me in Spanish because I don't think she spoke English. And she's like, what are they protesting? And I'm like, oh, they're protesting for abortion. And bro, like the look she gave me, she's like, I've never heard of this. There's protests in America for abortion. Like, I didn't even know that that was a thing. And then I was like, yeah, look, that lady right there, like she has a sign that says up to 9 months. It's our choice.
Up to
And
9 months.
yeah, like it just said, like abortion on demand, up to 9 months. It's our choice, et cetera, et cetera. And and that's exactly what they were fighting for. There has been legislation that's been presented before the Senate where it was abortion on demand up to 9 months, no questions asked, and all Democrats voted for it. I think the only Democrat that didn't vote for it was Joe Manchin. But this lady got so upset, bro, and she ended up crossing the street to wait for the bus because I guess she had a connecting bus from the train. She ended up coming back, bro, upset, and she started yelling at everybody in Spanish, like, this is ungodly. This is, bro, she broke down and she started crying, bro. She was crying. But because of that language barrier, she doesn't understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, if she knew English, she could read the signs for herself and be like, bro, what? Are you kidding me? But I mean, dude, imagine being, like an average Hispanic Latino, wherever it is, and you have that language barrier and you just don't understand. You hear all the good things, but Univision and Telemundo are not reporting the facts, right?
Hmm.
And so now they're not informed, bro. But imagine, and then those people have probably been here for decades. They probably don't vote, but imagine tapping into those people and saying, like, this is what Democrats are up to. Vote
Hmm.
accordingly. I'm not telling
Hmm.
you how to vote, but vote according to what you know now. Because a lot of people just, oh yeah, D, 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 D,
Hmm.
D. And then it's like you have no idea what you just voted for, man.
Dude, that used to be me.
Yeah.
That used to be me because, like, I feel like sometimes, a lot of times, people have such ingrained cognitive bias
Mhm.
to where you just are so close-minded to anything Republican, anything on the right, because you just think like, oh, that's those country club old, they're just like the warmongers, and they don't care about the poor. They just do, like, that's the narrative. The narrative is like they're doing their tax breaks for their buddies and this and
Yeah.
that. But like, everything we're saying is like, how do we connect the dots to the people that just watch Univision or just mainstream whatever, and they just follow Fools Gone Wild or something. That's where they get their voting advice. They get their voting advice from Eva Longoria and George Lopez and stuff. Like, to show them like, hey man, were you familiar with these issues? And before you even get into like the hoaxes as to like, he never said drink and bleach. He never said drink. He never said bleach. Like before you even get to any of that, like gain of function, all that stuff, just with like the cultural stuff, I wonder like, but what it is the people that watch Univision, they turn it on and it's like Jorge Ramos to this day, like el ex presidente Donald Trump, criminal, lo van a arrestar, Donald Trump. It's just like clickbait, clout, sensationalism, and Donald Trump va a ser arrestado, and that's like the big news, man. What do you think is gonna happen with that chisme?
You mean specifically like with the whole Donald Trump stuff, or do you mean like we're just like how do we solve the media issue?
I would
within
say
his mind?
like Donald Trump being arrested.
So, I mean, if you look into the technicalities of it, I mean, it's a bogus charge. Stormy Daniels herself has admitted that there was never any kind of affair. There's headlines by MSNBC. You don't have to go to Fox News. You can go to MSNBC, which is very, very, very leftist. And they've even printed out headlines saying like Stormy Daniels said this is not true. You had her attorney, Michael Avenatti. This guy was such a big liar and such a big con artist. That guy is in jail. You know what I mean? For trying to extort Nike, if I remember correctly. And that's just like one of the charges. And this guy's in jail. And this guy was like, I think it was The View that said that Michael Avenatti was like the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean? Like, bro, yes. They said, I feel like you're the Holy Spirit because you're everywhere all at once. Like she was trying to make the comparison that he's been on every show. Like every time I turn on the TV, you're there. Like you're either on CNN or MSNBC or there. And she's like, and now you're here. Like I feel like you're like the Holy Spirit, like everywhere and anywhere at once. And I was like, oh, cringe, bro. You know what I mean? Like very cringe. But with the Donald Trump stuff, I mean, dude, if you look at it, you really think, man. Okay, look, I'm gonna ask you something, Chico. Do you really think Donald Trump, look back at all the videos of him, the Playboy Mansion, next to all these hot women, the women that he's dated? I understand he's 3 times married. Do you really think, man, that this guy has to pay off women to make, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, they said, I mean, I think the misdemeanor they're trying to get him on is that he misappropriated campaign funds and gave that dude Avenatti, that lawyer guy, 130 grand to then give it to Stormy Daniels. And so I guess the crime, I heard that it's more, if anything, it's more of a federal issue, not a DA of New York, Manhattan, Alvin Bragg type of issue. And obviously, bro, like, to answer your question, all they want is to get an image of him being perp walked in handcuffs so that he can't raise campaign funds, and then he's out. So you could look at it like, wait, it seems like y'all weaponizing the justice system to take out your political opponent because he's leading. I guess it's between him and DeSantis. And then DeSantis, a lot of people looking at him sideways because he took a while to say anything about it. And then he threw in a little jab in there, like, I don't know about these little porn stars or whatever.
Yeah.
He got in a couple jabs while he was defending them. Y'all leave him alone with his little porn stars.
Yeah, man. No, and you're absolutely right. I think that's exactly what they just want, that image. But what I think that they're failing to realize, bro, is that image might be able to help him in the long run, because now you're making it seem like this is the one guy that the establishment hates so much that they're willing to weaponize, that they're willing to activate, they're willing to just dig through anything. I mean, dude, we went to the J6 committee. They decided, oh, you know what? We're not going to be able to charge Trump with anything. I mean, we went through 2 years of the J6 committee. Millions of dollars were spent into that committee to find something. Like, I guarantee you the Biden administration came up to that committee and said, you need to find something. You need to make sure that we are able to charge him with something. And now you're telling me that quote unquote hush money is what's going to get President Trump. I don't think it's going to happen. And if it does happen, it's definitely going to be for like that video of him in handcuffs, which, you know what, it's really interesting because I mean, the Trump's attorney, from what I understand, has already come out and said, like, okay, we're not going to fight this. He's going to turn himself in. He's going to do the fingerprints, and then he's going to leave. Like that's it. Like, that's all you're really going to get out of him, because apparently, from what I was reading, that same district attorney had already, or the attorney general had already tried before. And he's like, we don't have enough here. But from what I'm understanding is that guy is being pressured because they need to get him on something. They're like, bro, we need something just so that we can try to come after his campaign so he can't raise any more funds. Exactly what you were talking about. And so if you could make Latinos and Hispanics understand that it went from Russia Gate, that it went to J6 committee and all that stuff, and despite all of that, I mean, if you remember quickly, they gave what the Democrats like 5 years worth of his taxes.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to that? I thought they were gonna get him for sure. You know what I mean? Like, it's like
The
they found
Democrats,
nothing.
the Democrats, they like vindictive baby mamas. They want to see all his taxes and everything, boy.
You know what? Maybe that's the way we need to explain it to Latinos and Hispanics. No swipe at my people, but we know a lot about baby mamas, bro.
You know what?
I'm
Yeah,
saying?
right. Dude, I was a guest on a podcast last night. It's called the Go Hard podcast. And they somehow it came up about like, dude, you got some backlash, man, when you was you were catching all these arrows. And I said something that I know they're gonna splice up and take the context out. Like I was already in bed last night, like just about to fall asleep. And then in my head, I'm like, they're gonna grab that clip. When I was like, La Raza, I was like, how the hell are we the most gullible and the most hard-headed at the same time? I was like, we try to show you what's really going on, and you hard-headed. Meanwhile, you also gullible because you believe in everything they giving you. Like, oh, he had the phone call with Ukraine with Zelensky, or he incited the insurrection, and all those crazy Trumpers killed a cop. Dude, I have, you know how many like music people I like fell out with, where they, not to mention like allegedly management at comedy clubs, like so many people that business related, like whether producers like, oh, I don't want to make beats for you no more, bro. You know what I mean? Or DJs,
Oh, I believe you, man.
dude, Chingo, they killed a cop, bro. This is what you've been promoting, bro. This is an insurrection. It's like, that's why they purposely hid footage from y'all. They hid footage that killed their narrative. Everything these people do is smoke and mirrors. It's all like narrative. That's why they putting up them steel barricades in Manhattan, because they're like, oh, they're gonna have another J6 and they're gonna use bear mace and they're gonna bludgeon a police officer to death.
And they already protested yesterday. They held a rally for Donald Trump in support, and nothing happened. It went peaceful. But yeah, they are trying to build like that narrative of like, oh, look, he's inciting like another one. But you know what? This is what I will say, man. As someone that was there on January 6th, is there was, if I'm not mistaken, there was a little bit over 1 million people there on January 6th. If you look at the people that have been arrested, if I'm not mistaken, and the people that have been convicted and stuff like that, and a lot of them are like bogus charges, you know what I mean? Like you trespassing or whatever. But hey, I won't argue. You break the law, you break the law, right? The whole Officer Sicknick being beat by a fire extinguisher, that's been debunked by Tucker Carlson. Great job, by the way, to him and his team. But less than 1,000 people are in jail. Again, if I'm not mistaken, even let's just say 5,000 people are in jail out of 1 million people, bro. That's like 0.01% of people. So it was very peaceful that day, right? And the people that were
Mostly
in the Capitol,
peaceful.
yeah, mostly peaceful, and it wasn't even fiery.
Yeah, it wasn't even fire. Yeah.
But the same thing is going to happen everywhere else, bro. I contacted my my friend in a law enforcement. I'm like, hey, like I'm seeing that Donald Trump is calling for protests. Are you guys like worried about it all? And he just like laughed at me. He's like, bro, like everybody knows, you know what I mean? Like it's not the Trump supporters that we got to worry about,
Dude. And those Trump supporters that they have in the DC gulags up under the jail, they didn't get access to a speedy trial. They're just kind of like, find me the man, and then I'll find you the crime. So it's like, catch them first, bring them here, and then we'll figure out what we could charge them with. At the same time, you know who ain't in jail? Ray Epps and people like that. People that like all of a sudden they don't want to talk to. They're not on the list. They totally have gave up on trying to find the pipe bomber. Like they're like, oh, there was a guy trying to plant a pipe bomb. It's like, well, what happened? I thought y'all was the feds, bro. Why y'all ain't round him up? Y'all ain't kick his door down. Y'all
Yeah.
kicking the door of James O'Keefe and people like that.
Journalists, bro. That isn't that crazy that in the United States of America, bro, they're raiding journalists because they have access to Hunter Biden's laptop and stuff like that. I mean, bro, that's I, you can make the argument we are like, and you said earlier, we are slowly becoming a third world country, and I don't mean that in the sense that like maybe even economically, where people are having to go out and look for food, and this is not,
Inflation.
maybe in some cases, like eggs, trying to find eggs, where's those damn eggs at? But we're becoming a third world country, and that our government is just a dictatorship, man. Like we are slowly becoming like a Venezuela, where you are promised things if you vote one way, and then they never come to fruition, and then once they're voted in, they wield all this power against you, because that's all it is in New York, in Manhattan. You have everybody that's Democrat, so they don't fear any kind of retribution, because they're like, well, we're the ones in charge. Who's going to come after us? Like, nobody can. So that's why they feel very emboldened to go out there and put out this hit on Donald Trump and say, like, we're going to arrest him, even if it's just for the photo op. We just want to be able to say we did that. We handcuffed that guy, or we brought him in, or we're going to be the ones to be like, yes, it was us. The history books will write of us that we were the people that finally got this guy. And there's so much hate for the guy still that the people are willing to not see through the semantics and the lies and the BS and the history behind this entire case, that all they know is Orange Man bad, mean tweets bad. I don't care what it takes. I don't care if it goes against the jurisdiction. It doesn't matter if it goes against none of that stuff matters to us. We want this guy in handcuffs so I can have the image and put it as my iPhone screensaver and hang it up and be like, we finally got this guy. And that's scary, man, because one of two things is going to happen. It's going to continue to get worse, where eventually the only people left are going to be the left itself. So the left's going to come after itself, right? Where you might have some moderates that like, hey, you know what? Maybe men are not women. Well, now they're going to come after you for not siding with the conservatives when we try to tell you that. Or the second thing that's going to happen is the pendulum is going to swing. If the Democrats don't care enough, well, guess what? Eventually, Republicans are going to take over. They're going to take over the White House again. They're going to take over the Senate. And guess what? Payback's a B. Payback's a B, because now they're going to come after all these Democrats. And, you can only hope and pray. I mean, Republicans are a little bit spineless, but there's a new generation rising up, man. You know what I mean? So eventually these old neocons, the uniparty is going to be done away with. And eventually you're going to have young blood in there, bro. And we will not forget, man.
And then we're going to have our hands full trying to fix and reverse everything. Ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Cavazza, informedwithanthony.com. Love the merch, brother. Love the content. Make sure y'all follow him on everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and donde más?
Yeah, bro, literally I got like everything. I'm on Parler even, bro. Gab, I'm on True Social. Everything is either just Inform with Anthony, or I even got a TikTok, bro. I know we're not supposed to have that, but
I'm back on.
I got
TikTok.
it, bro.
Yeah, I'm back on.
Yeah. I'm just at the point. I'm like, you know what, bro? We're all getting spied on all the time anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, you're right. It ain't just TikTok. It's all the other apps too. Taking your data and trying to figure out how they could profit from it. But hey, man, keep up the great work. The content looks great. The new studio looks great. Everything you're cranking out and putting out. The podcast, I tune into that. I listen on Spotify. Just type in Inform with Anthony, and I like that they're short. And they're very informative. They're brief, and you go through the headlines. That's
exactly, bro. Exactly. Yeah. Very short and sweet.
Yes, that's right. Keep it up, yo. Anthony Cavazza, informwithanthony.com. Thank you, brother. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you.